Hello, my name is Paige O'Leary. I'm a master's student at the Duke Global Health Institute, and I'm going into my second year. This summer, I have been fortunate enough to work with Professor Michael Frax, who works at the Duke Law School. This summer, our research has been looking at state versus federal Stark laws and anti-kickback statutes. So if you'd like to follow along on the poster, I'm going to begin at the top left. So two of the most important federal fraud laws that apply to physicians are the Stark Law and the Anti-Kickback Statute. The Stark Law prohibits physician kickback and self-referrals. However, the Stark Law has over 20 exceptions, such as if the referring physician and the referred physician are a part of the same group practice, this law does not apply. The Anti-Kickback Statute prohibits the knowing and willful payment to reward patient referrals or services payable to the federal healthcare programs. Joint ventures between physicians and or healthcare companies that are in compliance with the small investment safe harbor are an exception. In October of 2019, a call for reform of the federal Stark and anti-kickback statutes was announced. However, it is unclear how this will impact state laws. Therefore, the objectives of this research was fourfold. First, to determine which states have equivalent state-level Stark and or anti-kickback laws. The second was to create a database of these state-level laws, as currently this does not exist. Third was to compare state-to-state laws and to track changes in laws within each state over time. The fourth was to compare state to federal laws, particularly the group practice exception. By building this database, researchers will be able to explore various theories regarding the effects of these laws on important marketplace outcomes. For instance, Professor Frax intends to explore whether group practice exemptions to these laws encourages practice group concentrations. To do this work, I used Lexis and Westlaw databases to find the state-level equivalents. I then conducted thematic analysis to identify inclusion criteria, exceptions, penalties, amendments, and history of each of the laws. So, looking at the results, in Figure 1A, these are the Stark and anti-kickback laws. In Figure 1A, states that have state-level Stark and or kickback law equivalents are indicated in blue. In Figure 1B, states that refer to the federal Stark laws, so meaning they do not refer to or have state-level equivalents, are indicated in blue. In Figure 1C, the blue states are those that have not referenced state-level or federal-level Stark or kickback laws. Figure 2 is the history of the state Stark and kickback laws. So as you follow from A through to H, what it is showing are the states and a progression of every 10 years. And as you can see, as time goes on, more states have state-level equivalents of both the Stark and or anti-kickback laws. Moving on to Table 1. Here, the title and the content evaluation of each state-level law that is equivalent to either the federal anti-kickback statute or Stark law has been conducted. In column 1, this is the name of the state, and in column 2, this is the name of the law. The state acts were evaluated on 3 criteria. 1 being inclusion criteria. So was the entity that could violate the act described? The next criteria were exceptions. Were the exceptions to the act included? The third criteria was penalties. So were the repercussions of violating the act described? This is what's shown in columns 3, 4, and 5. Each of the 3 criteria were deemed one of 3 colors. Green indicated that content was included and explained thoroughly. Yellow indicated that the content was included. Red indicates that the content was not present. And as you can see, different states performed better based on this criteria. Then moving on to Figure 4. So this figure indicates the creation and amendments of state and federal Stark and anti-kickback laws. So state anti-kickback and Stark laws were enacted over time and have undergone amendments, as indicated by this figure. Each state law is represented by a colored dot. The first represents the year that the law was enacted, and the following dots represent amendments. The group practice amendment is indicated by the red arrowheads in this figure. So the group practice law amendment was made to the federal Stark law in 1993. So, specifically, the general exceptions to both ownership and compensation arrangement prohibitions. Subsection A1 shall not apply to the following cases: physicians' services. In the case of physician services, as defined in Section 1861, provided personally by or under the personal supervision of another physician in the same group practice. Group practice means a group of two or more physicians legally organized as a partnership, professional corporation, foundation, not-for-profit corporation, faculty practice plan, or similar association. The group practice amendment has been added to various state-level laws, as indicated by the arrows in Figure 4A, and has influenced the cost of health care. So in conclusion, unlike at the federal level, where the Stark Law and Anti-Kickback Statute are separate legal documents, at the state level it is difficult to delineate between the state-level Stark versus state-level Anti-Kickback law equivalents. At the state level, some of the laws covered aspects of both the federal Stark and Anti-Kickback statutes. However, by having a better understanding of the state-level Stark and Anti-Kickback laws, the movement towards value-based care and the current legal restraints can be considered per state. Further, the impacts of the Stark laws upon current health systems at the state level can now be better understood and studied. Thank you.